So I guess we can put to bed the whole theory of 10 starters lost on defense means a decline in defensive performance. We bring in Steve Dace from Michigan Podcast to talk up the Wolverines' effort on opening night against Florida and look ahead to Cincinnati. Steve, how you doing today?
I'm doing well, Mark, especially after an opening win like that. Brother, how are you?
I am doing just fine as well. And certainly you put some metrics to better preparing us for the narrative of losing the 10 starters, particularly on defense, but the overall loss of whatever it was, 18 or 19 starters total, that you did have quality backup play, not just in terms of recruiting rankings, but guys that had gotten on the field. But were you even surprised by the dominance displayed by the defense?
Yes and no. I was a little surprised the young corners held up one-on-one against Florida's receivers, even without Antonio Callaway. I mean, I watched an interview. I watched SEC Nation on Saturday because I like to know what the other side thinks. And Jim McElwain was on the set there on ESPN's SEC channel, and he was adamant, the Florida coach. Hey, he even looked at Tim Tebow and said, even without Callaway, we have speed guys like you played with when you were at Florida. He literally said that out loud. So I was curious. I thought they'd at least break one or two on blown coverages like we were able to do to them. But I'm not surprised by the way the defensive front seven played at all. I've been warning your audience all summer long not to buy into the returning starters metric, that it's really more about the caliber of recruits that you can develop that you're bringing in. Now, the question I did have is, can Michigan in two recruiting classes reload the likes of which we see Florida State, Alabama, and Clemson and Ohio State do in three or more classes? Well, I think we got our first answer, and the answer is yes. This was an offensive line that Florida had spent 3 years developing. They thought this was the best offensive front they had by far, and they just got absolutely boot stomped and dominated by Michigan. And if you go back and watch that game, I think Callaway's absence was felt because I do think that's maybe where they could have taken advantage of a blown coverage or two if he was in there. But Jordan Scarlett wouldn't have found any place to run. I mean, their running backs rarely were able to get past the first level without facing any contact whatsoever, Mark. So that was just a dominant defensive performance by Michigan. I don't know what Florida was doing with its quarterback situation in that game because it's almost like they have to start all over again here in week 2. But I'll let your Florida guests talk about that because it's all maize and blue skies up where we're at here.